and everything stops for tea.
Well, a very good afternoon. Here we are, 23rd of June, 4 o'clock, and welcome to a cup of tea with Mr. G. If you are tuning in, as always, please just drop us a comment. Love to see the people who are joining us on the show. And as always, if you have a question, any questions, or just say, hi, I'm watching, please drop a comment in. And I'm going to tell you all about my special guest very shortly. But before I do that, if you joined the cup of tea with Mr. G last time, that was Jeffrey Vickery from Friends of Ambassador Cruise Line and Cruise and Maritime Voyages, memories of that wonderful site. Jeffrey left a question for you, and our sponsor, the Tea House, our wonderful people of the Tea House, they gave a prize to be won, and here it is. It's 250 grams of the Tea House's finest English breakfast tea. Now, the question was, Jeffrey said, Cruise and Maritime Voyages, when did they first start doing a round-the-world cruise? What year was that? And what ship was that? Okay, so that was the question. And I'm so pleased to say that Mike Corsa, if you're tuning in, then you are the winner. And I've got the tea here, so I'm going to be sending that through. I'll get your details from you, and I'll put it in the post. So the answer was the Magellan cruise ship, and the year was 2017. So we will be asking another question today, chance for you to win more tea, and that question is going to be asked by my special guest today. What can I say about my special guest? I really think that the best thing to do is just to let this video clip do the talking. And here is my special guest. And let me just see if behind the Tea House logo, we have our special guest today, and that is Mr. Don Reid. Hello, Don.
Hello there, dear boy. I'm sat here with bated breath. Okay.
I put that little clip together because there's just so much you've done in your career.
But yeah, I was obviously too cheap.
Ken Dodd. That was the last clip on that little montage. Ken Dodd. And how many times did you work with Ken?
I lose count. I said something to somebody one time as a joke, and they didn't get I said I worked with him tons of time. Preston, Northampton, Constantin. They didn't get what I was saying about. I could never understand why his manager used to be Keith McAndrews, and I said, I never understand why Doddy has me on the show. He said, because A, he enjoys your company, and B, you're a kitchen sink comic. You do family, marriage, etc., which he doesn't do. So you're not competition. I'm a kitchen sink comic.
And you worked with Ken in a lot of charity work. Tell me about the charity work that you did.
Well, he'd put shows on, and we would be paid out of his pocket. We would get paid our fees, but he made it look like we'd given our time freely, and it was that sort of man. When we would do shows, I did some, I think, free, but not very, very many. There were certain things, like there was one to buy a plank for Southport Pier when it was in a terrible state. Things like this, we would go along willingly and give our time for things like that. He was a great man. I have a lot of respect for him.
And I was listening to Radio 2 when Lady Anne Dodd was being interviewed about the book that's just come out. It's a must read. I'm sure you will endorse that. But he asked the question, why did Ken work so long? That's the one. That's the one. Yes. Could you just call out the title of it?
It's The Squire of Nottingham and His Lady. And inside it's written there, for Don, for many years of friendship and laughs, all the best, love, Anne. It was her birthday. She was 80 last Saturday. Sorry, she was 21 again last Saturday. Yeah. That's
so why do you think did Ken do so long on stage?
It was his, if you said you don't go on stage again, he would have just curled in, I think. He enjoyed being on stage. He enjoyed the buzz. You know, we call it Dr. Stage. That matter how you go on the green and you feel wonderful, you know. And he controlled the show. From the moment he walked out, he would stand at the back, tickling six ready, and I'm here. And then he would walk down and they were in the palm of his hand then, yeah.
I heard him once say he saw it as building a bridge from the stage to the audience. Yeah. And he had to cross that bridge to be able to get to the audience.
Yeah.
And also, is it true, Don, that you would say he was absolutely meticulous about note taking in regards to saying, oh, last time I did Liverpool, it was raining. This time it was bright sunshine. So I'm not going to do the same acts because obviously the audience was in a different mood just by the weather.
Yeah, he would keep notes on everything. And if I think I sent you a copy, didn't I, of the papers he gave us when we were writing for him, and he got an A4 with scribble like that. But he knew his system.
Oh, I don't know if I've got it. I don't know if I've took a note of that. Let me just say I might not have, but I know what you mean. And it's literally like a spider has just gone across the page.
And there's only chemists could read it, he used to say.
Yeah. You write an awful lot, as well as obviously being a stand-up comedian, but you wrote pantos and everything. What is your process for writing comedy, Don?
I take what I want to be the subject matter, and then if I've got a good tagline, I work backwards and build a story to it. You know, as you perform, that it's a matter of building it up. The guy who taught me a lot said it's like building a house of cards. And the higher you get with the cards, the bigger the laugh you get when they fall down, you know. So I would keep going. I'm sorry about that. It's a pigeon. I've got a friendly pigeon. I call him Walter. He wanders around outside. And I then found what I'm going to write it about. I'll choose the subject. We used to do great routines from like the 50 pence gag and all. You've probably done some of these, front cloth, you know. We would do these gags and then he would write something else and then he would send it off to somebody else. I wrote a gag about Hong Kong, which got sent up and was used a little. I think the idea was used by the two Ronnies about Hong Kong, ping pong and all this sort of thing, you know. And you just get something that whirls in your head and then you go with it, you know.
And do you think, Don, there's only a certain amount of comedy subjects? I know this conversation has been discussed by a lot of comedy entertainers, but for a comedian, do you think there's how many main subjects do you think there are in comedy?
I think there's 8. People say, oh, there's only ever 5 jokes written, etc. But I think there's 8 avenues to go down with them.
What would they be?
You can fit them in. I've got it written down here. So I think the first one is animal. Yeah. Which covers any sorts of jokes, like a snail was mugged by a tortoise. The police said, "Would you recognise him?" He said, "No, it all happened so fast." And because it's animal jokes, you can get away with things like that. You know, ethnic. I don't like the phrase racist because it's too big a blanket. They said he said something racist, which they never tell you what it was. But if they said he said an ethnic remark, you could then choose and support which group are being picked on. You know,
and would you say that goes right back to, say, in the 70s where it was deemed acceptable with stand-up comedy, with comedy, situation comedy, that was a huge type of thing, ethnic comedy, and it was just taken as accepted?
it was the norm, you know. But having said that, in the 70s, we also went the other way. If you remember, we stopped playing rugby against the South African side because of apartheid. We were working the other way, you know. So, yes, but I still think if you told a joke, you should say which group you told it about, whether it's a Chinese or a Turkish or an Irish, you know.
Yeah.
I used to love the Irish lines, like "Follow me, I'm right behind you," things like this. But even those, you've got to be so careful that you're treading on someone's toes.
I'm gonna come back to your list in a minute because I find it quite fascinating, and that's number 2 of number 8. But just what we can and cannot say now. I know Paul Eastwood, that wonderful comedian, was on A Cup of Tea with Mr. G, and we were talking about this as to what you can and cannot say. How do you see comedy today?
Well, it's such a wide open door now. When I first worked television, you weren't allowed to say damn or bloody or anything like this. But now they make a statement. They say, what is it? It contains adult humour and strong language. They say that. But to me, what is strong language? It's something like strong, a strapping, well-built, rugged, muscular person, yet seemingly athletic enough to become an embroiderer's apprentice. And then adult humour is what Daddy said to Mummy. But what they actually mean is it's crude and offensive, you know. So, but having said that, we go on stage. We never go on stage to offend somebody. I don't know if you remember, I used to use the line on the lectures. If you think there may be something I could say that offends you, the emergency exits are here, here, and here, like this, you know. Yeah. But it's comedy nowadays. Everything moves on. And I think it's moved on to another level. It never suits me, bad language, anyway. Well, if I ever say forgive me, Lord, when I drop things on the floor, but that's down the microphone, not funny. No.
So back to your list, Don. Number 3 on your list is what?
Number 3 then becomes historical. Jokes that are used historical based, like they said to Guy Fawkes when he blew up the House of Parliament, said, when do you want to do it? He said, well, what about bonfire night? Or King Harold auditioning archers. And he said, I'll do the job, but my brother's got to come. And he was all over the place. He said, he'll put somebody's eye out if he's not careful. And those are historical jokes, aren't they? You know, jokes about the war or even last year's still history. And then next becomes...
number 6 on the list.
We're up to number 1, 2, 3, 4.
Number
5.
Oh, number 5. Sorry, that's the other category. Counting incorrectly.
History.
Sorry, number 5.
Yeah, if I remember historically, Mr. G was not very good at maths at school. You know?
No, nor reading or writing.
Yeah. Satirical becomes like a man said, have you seen Boris Johnson's hair? It looks like a sheep's bottom. And this man thumped him. He said, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't know you were a conservative. He said, I'm not. I'm a shepherd.
Yes, that is the sort of joke which I think will be very funny at the Tory conference. Well done, Don. Hurrah! Hurrah! We've got to be able to have a laugh.
Of course we have.
There's one thing I like about Dominic Cummings. Well, actually, there's 2 things I like about Dominic Cummings. His face.
What's number 6?
Sexist.
Right.
Yeah, like the woman stood in front of the mirror. I feel awful. Look at my boobs are sacking, I've put on weight, and my skin and my hair. And he said, well, your eyesight's okay. That's sexist type jokes, aren't they, you know?
But there again, you go back to, say, the Coronation Street, Mildred, George and Mildred.
Yeah.
That type of comedy line would run throughout, you know.
And still does, you know. It's gone the other way.
What is it? Was it Jack and Vera? Aye, Jack, I tell you, when you're dead, I'm gonna dance on your grave. Suits me, love. I'm getting buried at sea.
Yeah.
That was part of that comedy construction, wasn't it? I suppose it was the sexist, and then of course the mother-in-law jokes are banned. Les Dawson, obviously a big trade of his was to do the mother-in-law joke. So that all comes under sexist, would you say?
My wife said to me, she said, my mother's coming down for Christmas. I said, why? She said, she's fed up with the attic. And it's that type of humour. It's lovely.
Tommy Cooper there again. A lot of his sort of jokes were. Anyway, number 13 on your list. Number 6.
Yeah, we get to situation. That
Right.
can be anything. Situation, something of every day that happens, you know. At the Yorkshire lad went to London and he couldn't get a job, so he opened a shop, and it was called Arkwright's Miracle Cures, £50. If we can't cure it, we'll give you £500. And his solicitor thought, I'll have a go at this. And he went in, he said, put your £50 on the counter. Now, what's wrong? He said, my sense of taste's gone. He said, I said, oh, nurse, just give him a glass of that orange juice. Up then he put it out. He went, oh, that's creosote. He said, sense of taste cured, £50. Thank you very much. So the next day, he thought, I'm not having this. I'm going to get over this. So he went in and he said, I can't come. My memory's gone. My memory's gone. He said, I'll put your £50 down. He said, okay, yeah. He said, nurse, give me a glass of that orange. He said, that's creosote. He said, memory cured, £50. Thank you very much. So on the 5th day, he went in. He said, my eyesight's gone. I speeded it up like that. He said, I don't think I can fix that. Here's your £50, your £500. He said, that's 50. He said, eyesight restored. Thank you very much. And that's anything that takes place, a limerick or anything to put into a situation. Yeah.
Next one, Don.
Topical.
Whatever. Yeah, now you go through the papers every day, don't you?
But I go actually with the news on the television. I don't take a paper anymore. It brandishes too much venom for me. There's one come out, Prince Andrew's sort of a claim. When it says a claim, that means somebody's made a story up and all this sort of thing. I don't trust journalists, you know.
So where do you get your inspiration from topical stuff? Is it internet?
Yeah, I take the news and then Google gives me some. You know, I've got like an Alexa thing. I've got a Google machine that gives me the up-to-date news and that. And I do get a newspaper, especially if you're on the ship and you get the free one. But I go through the 4 news channels. I take Sky, BBC One, Al Jazeera, and then RT. I take the scrolling thing more than what they're telling us. Yeah. But the news at the moment, there's only one news, isn't it? And it's quite sad, isn't it, really, the situation we're in, you know?
Yep.
England. But we've lost people. I've lost friends and that with this current thing. So, but you can make light humour out of that without trying to be offensive, can't you? Like 2 grandmas.
I think it's what you're saying is absolutely right, because I've got friends who are in the police, fire brigade, ambulance service, and they say we have to have black humour just to be able to cope with the stresses of the job. And I think funeral undertakers, whoever it is, there is always humour in something. The problem is that people may not see the funny side of stuff. That's the problem.
Well, no. I used to do a routine, I vaguely remember, about my funeral. And I've had my will made out, and it's in the will. They've got to go into the spiritual, when Jesus washed my sin. Oh, happy days. They've all got to go in clapping and singing along. There may be some, I've written a rough eulogy for somebody to read out, but comedy-wise. And then when the coffin's gone through the curtain to be cremated, it's got to come back out for one more round of applause. Then it's going back into Vera Lynn singing Wish Me Luck, because you waved me goodbye. And then when the final one, when they're walking out, will be Norman Greenbaum's Spirit in the Sky.
Oh, and brilliant.
And I've primed somebody that when they all get outside, he's got to point to the chimney up there and say, Don Reid's just left the building. That's what it's just.
Love it.
I want humour in it. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's not enough laughter in the world, and I think so many of us who peddle our comic wares for a living have found it very strange to not be going out and doing what I haven't been out on stage doing my act since not this March but last March, and I'm not alone. A lot of my fellow entertainment friends are all in the same thing, so it's going to be strange. And I love reading posts when people say very, very nervous because people think entertainers don't get nervous, but we get terribly nervous, and then we got terribly nervous because we haven't worked for so long. And then I read the post afterwards. They were a fantastic audience. I was so worried about it, so pleased, because that's all we want to do. We just want to spread a little bit of happiness and joy into people's lives, and there's no feeling like it when laughter comes back at you.
And some of them have been saying, I forgot, but I went back to it. I used to, you saw my act, I think. Jim Bowen used to say, he's left the main road. I used to veer off at a tangent and then come back somewhere down the line and then carry on, Billy Connolly said that people in comedy, if there's a queue, a traffic jam, we're going to have a look from the side, what's causing it, how we can see something funny, get some humour out of it, But
on next on your list, or was that it?
The former one's religious.
Yes, Dave Allen, he springs to mind.
If you say religion in this country, people mean Christianity, and I mean all the way. I saw a lovely quote that said a Jew, a Muslim, a Catholic, and an atheist went into a coffee bar and had a cup of coffee and had a wonderful time. And that to me,
that was like John Thompson's Bernard Wrighton character, which was based on Bernard Manning, but the switcheroo made it obviously totally against what Bernard was doing. And Bernard Manning, you knew Bernard Manning very well, didn't you?
Well, Bernard Manning's next door neighbour was an Indian doctor, and she did the eulogy at his funeral. And as much as he said that, she called him Manchester Manning, which was her way of getting back to each other. And Bernard he didn't go on stage. He said things which are not PC nowadays, but he did so much good charity work. When if ever you caught him on the old CB days, he called himself Raging Bull, he did, So, yeah.
I met a wonderful gentleman on a cruise ship, and that was Kev Harrison, Chip Shop Kev, they used to call him.
Chip Shop
Kev, like, Chip Shop Kev, purveyor of comedy. He's seen every act. He watches all the shows. And the first time I met him, I just flew in on a long haul flight, and I went to the bar, and he's next to me. I hadn't talked to him, but I just said to him, I like your shirt. He goes, touch it. I said, beg your pardon. He says, touch my shirt. So I touched his shirt. He goes, that's Bernard Manning's shirt, that is. I said, no way. So I used to love Bernard's timing. I think nobody could time a joke better than Bernard Manning. His material, obviously, that was a different thing, but I think it's because he was Oscar Rayburn big band. He just had that wonderful way of timing gags. But he said, touch me, sir, that's Bernard Manning's. And he told me about Bernard. And as you say, the charity work, he said he did so much for charity which nobody knew about. But if you'd mention anything, he might say, now, I'll tell you what, son, there's £5,000 done for your charity. If you tell one person about it, you'll never get another penny off me again.
Yeah. You don't want people thinking I'm a nice man. That's what he used to say. But Chip Shop Kev, I'm on to him most days. He puts comments on that sort of thing. And funny enough, I met Chip Shop Kevin on here. This is the Black Prince. It was the final cruise of the Black Prince.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that's a collector's piece.
I think if that came up at auction, Don, I think that particular mug, in its condition as it is, could fetch about 50p.
I think so, yes, because I've got another 200 of them on the shelf to get rid of.
So is that your list complete then, Don? Because if it is, I'm just going to read out some comments if that's all right with you. I've got some comments that are coming through.
Can I tell you one religious joke?
You broke out slightly there. Say that one more time.
Can I tell you one religious joke?
Of course you can, yeah.
God said to Eve, I'm going to create a man. We will call him Adam and let him think that he is the most important thing and you are his partner. I will create this just for you, Eve, and it will be our secret between you and I, woman to woman.
Isn't it cracker? It's the way you tell them. Now, I'm going to read some comments here, Don, because we've got some lovely people that said we've got some people. Some of them they are Facebook users, so I don't know who they are. But we've got somebody saying hi, Chris, hello. Another person saying hello, and we've got hi, you too. That's to both of us from another Facebook. The lovely Joyce up in Dudley, my lovely friend Joyce. Hello, both of you. Joyce from up in Dudley, and then we've got hello, Chris and Lolo Don Reid. Lolo.
Yeah. You know what Lolo is, don't you?
Now, explain to anybody who's watching, Lola, because I know what it is, because I've been at sea with you so many times.
Yeah, it's a Philippine word for grandfather. But they call me Lolo Pogi. Now, Pogi means still quite handsome for an old man, and Pangit means ugly. I would say, Magandanga Maga, Magandanga Maga Lolo Pogi. I said, no, Pangit, no, you are Pogi. I have so many wonderful Philippine friends. You know, we work them.
They're beautiful. Salamat, salamat. Okay, you're gonna like this. You're gonna not like this next comment. And I've got a feeling I know who this is from. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Can you talk slower, Don? I'm trying to write down my new act. Now I'm gonna have a guess who that is, but I better not say, just in case I'm actually wrong and somebody says I wouldn't do anything like that. I don't believe it. I'm going to sue you. But go reveal yourself, Facebook user. Can you talk slower, Don? I'm trying to. That's funny. That is. It's obviously a comedian. And here's one. 2 great acts. Well, that's £5 went to good use there, Don. I took your £2.50, put it with my £2.50. They got it. 2 great acts. We've got one here that's coming through. Lovely to hear the jokes and stories from the Great Variety Days. And I think that's absolutely true. Please keep the comments coming. And let's just go back to those Great Variety Days. Let's just talk about how you started. Now, would I be right in thinking this picture is pretty close to when it all started?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. That's me in the middle.
That's you in the middle?
Yeah.
Right. Let me just get rid of that. There we go. Right.
Yeah.
That's you in the middle. And what were you playing?
I was bass guitar. And
bass guitar.
Well, it's a bad bass guitar, but a good vocalist and a chatter. Yeah.
And the guy on the left is Terry?
The one on the left is Terry Baker. I'm still in contact with him. He was a great reading guitarist. He went off to work with bands in the Mecca days and support artists and people like that. And the other guy was a drummer, accordionist, played the bagpipes, etc. Eric. And we became a double act, Don and Eric.
Is this you, Don and Eric?
Yeah. And he used to play the bagpipes, and when he got the drones going, he would walk around as if it was a vacuum cleaner, like this, yeah. And we're still in contact, yeah. That's a long time ago.
Talk about bagpipe players, Leo Shaver's he's wonderful bagpipes, and he keeps going back to it as a joke. I think it's wonderful. But he actually helped. I'll talk about Leo again because I think he was involved in your book, and we'll talk about your book later on. But is that right, Leo? Because he's a publisher, he's a wonderful, knowledgeable chap.
Yeah.
And I think he encourages people, get it written, get the book written. I can actually, I've got the facilities to be able to publish it and print it. So we'll come to your book later on. This picture here, I'm not quite sure. It must be you on the left-hand side on the bass. And what bass guitar were you playing then?
That was Hofner. I liked Hofner because the scale was short. If you notice, it's a similar length neck to the guitar. I couldn't handle the long scale ones like Fender. I couldn't seem to work on those, And so I got by on that,
And who's the lady in the middle?
Her name was Nancy Whiskey. She was with Chas McDevitt. They had a hit record, a couple of them, Greenback Dollar, and the big one was Freight Train. Freight Train, going so fast. And when she left Chas McDevitt, we did a short tour accompanying her. But her real name was Mary Wilson, but she couldn't use that.
British or American? Was she British or American?
She's from Scotland, son. Aye.
I do apologise. I haven't heard of it. Whiskey, there should have been a big clue.
Well, what happened, there's a drink called a Nancy Whiskey. It's a drink in Scotland. And so she used that name. She couldn't call herself Mary Wilson because there was the American singer called Mary Wilson.
Of course there was, yes.
Yeah. She was incredible.
Yeah. She was very good.
very good entertainer. You know, she used to do one of her songs. We used to was "My Mother's Eyes." I found in my mother's eyes. I don't really know that one.
Oh yeah,
mother's eyes. Yeah.
in my mother's eyes.
She-
Okay, we're going for a publicity shot now.
Yes,
Back in
what's
time.
it? Good heavens!
Wow.
That was the New Faces days. That was. Oh,
Wow.
heavens.
Had you just come back from Colombia?
See, muchas gracias, Peter. Oh.
Say hello to
That-
my
that
little
was the
friend,
day.
man. My name
That
is
was the
Don Reid.
day.
I'm a comedian, you know.
Yeah, see, gracias. Everybody.
How
has-
long did you have that look for, Don?
Sorry.
How long did you have that look for?
I can't remember it. I think it was until the neighbours moved in. It was the fashion then was frilly shirts, open necks, and gold bangles round your neck and all that. You know, I think it was the forerunner of Del Boy, but it was the fashion to do it. You know. And
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Right, we're gonna move into something now, which is a bit of a heavier subject, and I don't know if you mind talking about it, but for anybody that's watching, Don contacted me one time, and he said, "Listen, dear boy," he said, "I've got all this stuff there, and I'm having a sort out, and I don't want to throw it out." And I thought, you would have it. So I went up. We met at Warner's, Elveston. We had about a 2-hour cup of coffee or cup of coffees, and then you handed me over all these wonderful signed autographs of all my people that I absolutely loved when I was a kid growing up, and even now. And so I only live in a little flat, but I have what I call the show business wall in the hall. And that's adorned with all the very kind things that you gave me. And at the same time as giving me all the photos and the signed autographs, you gave me a copy of your book. And the book is called Don't Switch Me Off: A Coma, a Comedian, a Career, or a Catastrophe. Now, if people haven't heard about what happened to you, would you mind talking about it?
No problems at all. Yeah, I was in a coma. Well, some people think I still am. It was a freak accident, and it was one of those things. I survived it. They brought me back 3 times, and I was apparently at the side of the road. Said I'd got a brand new jacket. Don't let them cut this jacket. I have no memory of that. But I was in a comatose state for 20 odd days. They kept me. They maintained me comatose because of the damage to the lungs, and they didn't want me settling, etc. So when I get up to the gates of heaven, I'm going to say, "You owe me 23 days. I want those back now." So, but it was.
Is this your car that you were driving?
No, that's the car that hit me.
That's the car that hit you.
Yeah, the bonnet is where my leg hit, and then the windscreen is where my head hit, and then the roof is dented where my body came down on it. Yeah, and it was driven by my best friend.
And you said 3 times. Did you? Was it seeing the light?
Yes, I did. I went to the light. It wasn't Hollywood booming choirs and smoke machines and everything. It was just a room, like part of a room. I didn't know what it was behind me because I was just stood there waiting to see what happened. But I wanted to go through. It seemed so wanted, but I wasn't allowed in. I was then taken to the lawn of a house in Harlech. But I used to do some work for the Outward Bound fundraising, and I was taken on the lawn of this house near Harlech. And then my family were paraded in front of me, and I was shown what they were like now, then what they would be like if I'd gone. And I was also shown the white Peugeot I'd be driving 10 months later. And I didn't buy a Peugeot because I'd seen that. It came to me. So, yeah.
And how much did life change for you? Because we're in this very stressful environment of entertainment and the show business that goes with it. This was coming back from a gig that you had this terrible accident?
Yeah, I used to go out with my best friend, and we'd meet up at a pub on the Northwich Bypass, the Smoker, and we'd leave either his vehicle or my vehicle, go up to Blackpool, do the show, come back, pick up whichever vehicle was a bit left, and then go our own way 2 or 3 miles. And then I'd go my way and he'd go his way. And I got out of my car to speak to him, and he didn't see me. And he caught me like that, you know. So,
Wow.
And it was a total freak accident. Collapsed lung, and there was 6 ribs at the front, 9 at the back, and a fractured skull. But I'm okay now. So
How much did life change for you after that accident because of the near death and seeing the light and things like that? How much did that change you? Do you think as a person?
well, there were a lot of circumstances at the time. My wife stayed by the bed side of me, and they put her a camper on the hospital car park so she could stay and be close to me. And in the next bed was a boy of 21 who'd been in a motorcycle accident. And one night they said to her, "Would you mind leaving the room?" And she left, and he'd obviously passed away, this kid. Now, I took this on board afterwards. I wanted, why couldn't I have gone and let this lad have a life? And I got placed under the mental health act. I was, nervous. But I came out of that with a lot of help and a lot of affection. And it was just one of those things. It changed me. It made life a little bit easier. That's all there is. Just get on with your life and do it. There's the worst.
We only have one life, don't we? And we have to try and make the best of it.
But one of the things I go on stage with is that the worst that can happen is people don't like you. That's all.
That is true. First time I met you, Don, my lovely
Corky, yeah.
So it was on a cruise ship, and I was. Pardon?
It's Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas. You were dressed up as an elf.
Yeah.
And I think early in the day, you'd just done a comedy lecture, and I, like everybody on the cruise ship, were absolutely fascinated with your comedy lectures and your knowledge of the business. And that's when I really got to start talking to you. And then you encouraged me to actually go and look at doing comedy talks. And so I thank you for that. My Corky taught me how to lecture without notes. And that's something that you do as well. You just don't have any notes. It's all up here and all the stories that you have. And I think people like to hear about comedy stories and the amount of things that you were telling in those all different shows. And from my experience, people they like to know what makes people tick in the entertainment world. Are they all alcoholics? Are they all depressives? Are they one sort of person when they're on stage, and when they come off, they're absolutely, totally different, morose and stuff like that? I think you've worked with so many people, you would know the answers to a lot of those things.
Yes, yeah. The trouble is that I have that effect on them, you see. So I always had a love of it, and I was lucky that I slotted into the end of what we would call the end of the Pierce shows, which I found derogatory. The end of the Pierce shows, discovered people like Tommy Cooper, Maxwell, all these. I got to do the end of those shows. Then it became the theatre restaurants, and then the Golden Garters, Talk of the Town, London, and then that became clubs again.
Yeah.
More and more. Yeah. Then it became the social clubs, and each faded away each time like that. So I've been
do you know what I found quite interesting? I think the start of the 80s, there was the new wave of comedy were coming through, and they were saying all these old comedians, the Jumper Golfing Brigade, they've had their day because this new comedy's coming through. And now I was just looking at the TV the other night there, and I thought, you got Jason Manford, you got Alan Carr doing game shows, yet the Bob Monkhouses and the Bruce Forsyths and the Les Dawsons, they were absolutely being slated in the early 80s. But now it's gone full circle.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting thing. Who was it? I spit phone you later, Sheila. Yeah. It's a girl called Sheila Sexton, used to be an entertainer. There's a question. Who took over the Golden Shot? Which Northern comic took over the Golden Shot?
Okay, I'm gonna ask if you're with us still in the comments box. There's no prize for this. This is just a fun question that Don has given us. But who took over? Give the question again, Don.
Which Northern comic took over the Golden Shot from Bob Monkhouse?
Right. Okay. Now, I'm seeing if anybody's got a comment on this. They might have gone off to make a cup of tea. You never know. I think I know the answer on this one, but if you're there and you know the answer, pop it on a comment now and I'll read it out. Have we got anybody? No, that's him still writing your act down. Okay, they may not want to be wrong, so they're not putting their comments on there. I think it was Norman Vaughan.
You are correct. So many people say Charlie Williams.
Do I win a cruise? Do I win a cruise?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you've got to get to cruise station.
I think I can remember what a cruise looks like.
Yeah,
I think
that was my last
pointy
gig.
front.
My last time I worked, I got off a ship at the beginning of November, not last year, the year before, and it was that was the last time that I worked. And since then, I've chosen retirement. But
how do you find that, Don? How do you find retirement?
It's easy. It's as easy. If you're there, Sheila, I'll phone you back shortly.
This is like a comedy sketch. Sheila, I'm live. I'm doing a webinar. You doing what, Don? I'm doing a webinar. Whoa, spiders! You can get some powder from chemists. No, not web. I'll call you back, Sheila.
Yeah, I've turned the phone off now. Yeah,
don't forget the milk, Don.
She did. She used to do a wonderful act. She did 2 acts. One was she was either came on as a cleaning lady, singing songs, mopping up, and the other one she was a tatty fairy, and the song was "Nobody Loves a Fairy When She's 40." And she used to walk around very, very good. She's in her 80s now, bless her.
Bless.
But going back to the other thing, I'm lucky that I've loved the business, I've loved acts, and I've just enjoyed watching so many people, and I enjoyed talking about them. And there's certain lines that if I said to you, "Are you putting it around? I'm balmy," you know the routine.
Eli Woods and Jimmy James.
Yeah,
Jimmy Roy Castle did it.
Yeah, and Jimmy Casey was Jimmy James.
Jimmy James's dad. That was his son, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But black or white?
Sorry, say.
But black or white?
Yeah. He hasn't got them anymore.
The coffee? No, the giraffe. Brilliant routine. In answer to that question, I did have lovely Joyce up in the West Midlands. She said Charlie Williams, which was not the right answer. And somebody else said had Norman but couldn't remember his surname. That's how it gets us with these things. But listen, we're going to move on to unfortunately having to wrap things up. But before we do this, you have got a question for us. Now, let me just explain, whilst you're getting your question together, let me just explain how you enter the competition to win. There we are. Some of our lovely, the Tea House. Now, the Tea House, if you're into tea, then go and visit their website. The website here is on the little ticker tape. It's an online tea shop for loose tea and accessories. And there's their website address. Very, very reasonable, very, very helpful. But we're giving another 250 grams of loose finest English breakfast tea away, and Don is very soon he's going to answer a question. Now, to enter, all you've got to do is go to my Facebook page for a cup of tea with Mr. G. You can't miss it, but that is what it looks like. There's the link, okay, and say I'd like to join. As soon as I get the invitation, I'll approve that. And that means that you can actually message me your answer to Don's question. And then if you do win, I will contact you and we can private message your address so nobody else knows your address for me to send the tea. And we'll announce the winner before our next guest. And that's going to be next Tuesday, where I've got Little Eagle. Brilliant. Only 2-man tribute to the Eagles on Tuesday, 29th of June, 4 o'clock. And I'm actually going to see the guys this weekend, so I'm very excited. So that's how you enter the competition. Don?
Yes, my
dear boy. Question. I want to do like bullseye, Right, super great, smashing. Right, Don, have you got the question? Great, smashing, lovely.
Yeah.
Off you go.
You get nothing in 2 in the bed for this, don't you know?
Right.
You get nothing, but you don't get anything for 3 in the bed except a divorce. And the question is, how many episodes of Fawlty Towers were there?
And repeat that question again, just in case people are writing it down.
how many episodes of Fawlty Towers were there?
Okay. So you know what the question is, you know how to enter, you know what the prize is. I will put it up on Facebook when you've got to get your answer in by. You've actually got to, let's say now, you've got to get your answer in by Sunday, this Sunday. That's when your answers have got to be in. So go to my website, ask to join the site. I'll accept your invitation, then message me with your answer. All the people will be put into a hat. One will be pulled out. They will have the tea, and I'll announce it like I did with Mike Causa, who won last week. Don, I hope it's not going to be too long before I can actually get up and see you again, and we can have another mammoth comedy chat.
And don't forget, I'm only 40 odd miles from Bottlewythen as well.
Oh, is that? I always forget that. Being a southerner, you see, you know.
It's dark, isn't it? Yeah. But I'm just thinking out of my cup here, Black Prince, and I'm thinking how many ships I did on the final cruise. I did the Victoria, I did some of air tours. I was a jinx. I was working theatres and clubs, and they closed after I'd been on. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I know that you say you're retired, but I'm sure that people can get you to come out and do some work again, because once it's in your system you can't ever get rid of it, I don't think.
Well, what happened was I got trampled on the underground. Somebody knocked me over rushing up the stairs, and it set off arthritis in quite a bad way, and so I couldn't stand on stage for 45 minutes, and I'm not a sit on a stool type comic like Dave Allen was, but I was taking painkillers. And so what's happened, I've been placed under this specialist who's turned my life around. He really has got me back to that. But I'd like to go back and do lectures again. I wouldn't mind doing that because of the freedom of having to do it. Yeah, I'll do 45 minutes, I'll do an hour, etc. You know. And
how's the best way to contact you, Don? How's the best way to contact you? Is it for your mobile, or have you a website, or what?
I've got an email.
Yeah, just give the email address out on air in case somebody says, do you know, would love to have him for a comedy lecture, because there's the what was it, university groups, what are they called?
U3A.
U3A. They might be tuned in and they say, oh, he'll be ideal for a comedy talk and things like that. So just call out an email, and then people have got some sort of contact for you.
It's all in small scale. Is that the word? Small case. And it's Don, Charlie, Adrian, all one word. But Charlie's IE. Don, Charlie, Adrian.
And Adrian, ADRIAN.
Yeah. Don, Charlie, Adrian @gmail.com.
Okay, so that's Don, Charlie, Adrian.
All one word.
All one word.
At
gmail.com.
Yeah.
Okay, so if anybody's tuned in and they're looking for a comedy talk, Don's your man. You've got his email address, and drop him a line. Thank you so much for taking time to join me today. It's been a pleasure, as always, talking to you about comedy.
By the way,
about your life.
I can bore you to. I've got loads more pictures for you.
I'll move to a bigger flat.
A lot of them are signed, hand signs things. I've got some signed by.
Please don't put them on eBay or anything like that. They will have a very good home here.
Yeah, I've found some other things as well. That I'll save you one book. I've got a book by Robert.
I'll save them for when I go back to Amsterdam.
What's Amsterdam? Yeah, but you remember when we were traveling? If we got a flight to Schiphol, we knew we were going to change and fly anywhere in the world from Schiphol, didn't we? Yeah. Yeah.
Have you got the dice? Have you got the dice, Don? Let's throw a 6 and see where we're going.
Yeah. Well, I've got my machine. Okay, Google. What time is it? Listen.
And you got to ring. What's her name? Your friend keeps ringing you.
I've got one of these machines. Okay, Google, like Alexa. You know. So yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
Don.
Friend.
God bless. Love and lights to you, and you take care. Keep writing. Keep making people smile.
Peace, joy, and
I'll
happiness.
speak to you soon.
All right.
God bless, Don. All the best.
God
Yeah.
bless.
Bye now. Bye. Bye. So that was the lovely Don Reid, and it's lovely to chat to him about comedy and about his life. I've got a few more comments just before I sign off here, and yes, here we went up to normal cut. Right, we had this one here, which was "Hi, my two lovelies," and I think I know who that is. It's like Valentine's Day. It's like you get cards and you think, who's that from? And this one says, "Great to see you both. Love this. Love to you both." I think that's my bank manager, possibly. This one, Don, one of my best mates. That's his bank manager. And my lovely Sheila, who's just moved over to the green island of Ireland there, and I hope you're settling in Chile with all the lovely people in there and the lovely weather and the stuff and the Guinness and the stuff. It's grand. It's a grand place. And it'd be lovely to see Sheila again on a cruise ship. Right, just one more thing to mention, and I know a lot of you have already bought your tickets, but if you do fancy winning a holiday with G& Holidays, the fabulous G& Holidays, for just £2. Now, I do know there's so many things out there, people saying, enter this to win a house, enter this to win a cruise. And I know the competition's extremely strong. So, and £2 is £2. So there's not a lot of money to burn. However, you've still got time to enter to win a fabulous holiday for 2 people to Warner's Bembridge Coast Hotel on the Isle of Wight. And this is with G& Holidays. They give you the return ferry crossing included, standard room in the main hotel for 3 nights, 3 dinners, 3 breakfasts, free drinks from 6 p.m. to midnight, certain brands, full entertainment program. They've got daytime activities as well. There's a choice of 2 dates. So go to my Facebook page. You'll see details. I'll post it again today. And the draw is done through Rafale, which is a site that organises your competition for you. I do not have any say in who wins it. It's all done automatically by them. And this draw, I have got no involvement in any of the money. 100% of this money is going to go to 2 charities. One of them, 50% of the money is going to go to Love Your Hospital, and the other 50% is going to go to the Duncan Edwards Foundation. So that's a little reminder. £2, and you can book it all online. I'll put the post up again. Thank you so much indeed for joining me today. Next week, as I did briefly mention before, I'm very excited to talk to Paul and Wally. I had the chance to work with them in Cyprus. Wonderful. If you like the Eagles, you're going to absolutely love this cup of tea with Mr. G, because they're going to be talking to me about their music, about their lives. And that's going to be next Tuesday, the 29th of June at 4 o'clock. Whatever you're doing today, whatever you're doing this week, enjoy it. And I hope that you have a great week. I'm wishing you love and light. And as always, you know, I've got to get those boys in the band to put their gin down and to sign out. From me, Crystal G, love and lights. God bless.
And everything's down for tea.